Welcome to this 365 Freedom session. Today we're breaking down how to stop trying to learn your most valuable business skills when your brain is completely dead.
Look, let's just be completely honest for a second here. Why are you practicing your absolute hardest skills when you are totally exhausted? I see this happen all the time. Imagine you and I are just sitting at a bar having a drink after a really long, grueling day, and you're telling me about your struggles to scale your business. You tell me you're waiting until 8 p.m. to work on those absolutely crucial marketing campaigns or to map out your new sales scripts. By that point, you're running on absolute fumes. You're literally giving your own business the leftovers of your day. And then you sit there wondering why you aren't getting any better at these skills or why your growth feels completely stuck. It's kind of absurd when you really step back and think about it, isn't it? The high earners out there, they do the exact opposite. They know that complex, high-value work demands a sharp mind.
We actually have a name for this. We call it the energy tax. It's the heavy price you pay when you try to learn really difficult stuff using nothing but leftover end-of-day brain power. Just think about how your typical day runs. You wake up and you instantly start putting out fires, right? You handle all your client work. You battle through a mountain of emails. You take care of the daily operations. So by the time 6, 7, or 8 p.m. rolls around, your mental battery isn't just low, it's completely empty. It is flashing red. And that is exactly the moment you decide to sit down and master something incredibly complex like copywriting, sales, or technical marketing. The energy tax means you pay with intense frustration, with totally wasted time, and with absolutely zero retention. You are actively taxing your future wealth because you're applying your weakest energy to your most important tasks.
Now listen to me, because this is a crucial point. It is not a capabilities problem. If you've been struggling to learn a high-leverage skill at night, I need you to just relieve yourself of that guilt right now. You are not lacking natural talent. You are plenty smart enough. I talk to so many brilliant founders who just beat themselves up, thinking they aren't cut out for marketing or they just aren't wired for sales. They genuinely think it's a permanent flaw in their DNA. But the truth is, when your battery is at 5%, nobody on Earth is capable of learning complex new systems. You wouldn't try to run a marathon after staying up for 3 days straight, would you? Of course not. So why on earth are you expecting your brain to perform high-level creative and analytical gymnastics after an 8, 10, or 12-hour workday? It's not you, it's your energy management.
Let me tell you a quick story about this mastermind designer I worked with. He desperately wanted to master high-level media buying because he knew, without a doubt, it was the key to scaling his firm. So he spent months, literally months, trying to learn it at the end of his workday. We're talking 9 p.m. leftovers. He was utterly exhausted. He couldn't retain a single concept, felt completely stupid, and actually convinced himself he just wasn't built for marketing. But then, we made one really simple tweak. We moved his study and practice sessions to his first hour of the day, a 7 a.m. peak session. His brain was totally fresh, his focus was sky high, and suddenly those exact same concepts that felt like a foreign language at 9 p.m. just clicked instantly at 7 a.m.
14 days. That is all it took. Just 2 weeks of practicing his media buying during his 7 a.m. peak, and that very same designer who thought he was incapable actually started launching profitable campaigns. Let that sink in for a second. Months of failure and miserable frustration at 9 p.m. completely reversed in just 14 days at 7 a.m. He didn't buy some magic new course, he didn't suddenly get a brain transplant, he just gave his sharpest hours to his hardest reps. That is the true power of matching your hardest tasks with your absolute highest energy.
And you know what? This isn't just an isolated case. We see this data hold true across entirely different business models and completely different skill sets. I had a coaching client who was totally stuck at a major income plateau. He knew he needed to master sales copywriting, but his copy was bad, his sales were flat, and his confidence was basically at zero. Why? Because he was only practicing his writing late at night when he was dead tired. We shifted his copywriting practice to 9 a.m. Within 30 days, his conversion rates doubled. Literally doubled. Then there's an agency owner I work with who is really struggling to build his sales pipeline. He avoided cold outreach entirely because, let's face it, facing rejection when you're already exhausted is just miserable. We shifted his pipeline building to his peak 10 a.m. focus slot, and suddenly he had the mental stamina to execute consistently. The results always follow the energy.
Or consider what happens when you get trapped in what we call the consultant's loop. I spoke with a consultant recently who was just completely drowning in frustration. She was trying to build her own paid advertising campaigns to scale up her business. It's a fantastic, high-leverage skill that she desperately needed to master. But here was the fatal flaw. She was only opening her ad manager at 6 p.m. She had just spent 8 hours on back-to-back, intensely draining client calls. Her mind was totally fried. But she'd forced herself to sit there, staring at the screen, trying to figure out audiences, budgets, and complex creatives. And let's look at the actual real-world cost of that exhaustion. When her brain was fried at 6 p.m., she was making silly mistakes. She was actually losing money on bad campaigns. And even worse, tasks that should have been super straightforward were taking her 4 long hours to complete. She felt incredibly overwhelmed and was ready to just throw in the towel and hand thousands of dollars over to a cheap agency because she truly felt she wasn't smart enough for paid traffic. But once we got her brain sharp at 8 a.m., everything changed. She started finishing in 45 minutes what used to take her 4 painful hours. 45 minutes versus 4 hours. Think about the time and money she recovered just by shifting the clock.
So how do you actually execute this pivot in your own life? Well, we broke it down into a really simple structural change for her. Step 1, we looked at her daily energy cycle and defined her ultimate peak window. For her, that was 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Step 2, we dedicated that specific window strictly for her ad setup and optimization. And step 3, which is absolutely the most important part, 0 distractions. No clients allowed, no emails allowed. She was terrified at first, honestly, worried she'd fall desperately behind on her daily client work. But because she knocked out her hardest task in 45 minutes with a completely clear head, the rest of her day was actually way less stressful and far more productive.
Why does this simple shift work so universally well? Because deep focus literally constructs new neural pathways. When you are acquiring a complex, high-value skill, whether that's offer creation, technical marketing, or closing deals, you require high cognitive capacity. You are processing a massive amount of new data. You literally need the biological bandwidth to understand it, categorize it, and apply it. You simply cannot build confident capability when you are running on fumes. Your brain needs premium energy to physically build those new connections. Leftover hours will never ever give you the resources you need to grow.
So this requires a pretty massive mindset shift. We have to stop blaming this mythical talent gap. The talent gap is a false belief. When you give your hardest skill reps your leftover hours, you are setting yourself up to fail. You start believing you aren't capable, that you somehow lack the natural talent that all those other successful founders seem to have. But the reality? It's a scheduling gap. You are perfectly capable. You just have a bad schedule that forces you to do your absolute hardest work with a tired brain. So stop telling yourself you aren't smart enough and start looking critically at your calendar.
I want to pause here for a second and just let this sink in heavily. Your highest income isn't built by working longer. It's built by giving your highest energy to your hardest skills. Real wealth is built by mastering these hard, high-value skills, and those skills absolutely deserve your premium energy windows. Stop doing your hardest work with a tired brain.
So I have to ask, are you giving your business the leftovers? Your highest level of capability is only realized when you match your hardest tasks to your highest focus. Stop paying the energy tax, protect your peak window, and start mastering the skills that actually make you money. If you are ready to align your energy and your assets, visit 365 Freedom. The real question is, what could your business achieve tomorrow if you simply changed your alarm clock today?